From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Max Darrow, and welcome to our Saturday showcase. Here's what's ahead this hour. We begin with shakeups, specifically in climate. In a moment, Juliette Goodrich will show us the winds of change and their effect on wine, plus a sea level surprise in Stinson Beach. Lauren Toms details new caution for the coastline. But first, we go underground for some seismic change. Here's Brian Hackney.
We're at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory at Building 121.
And inside Building 121,
we monitor earthquakes.
Gene Ichinose and Tim Brandt monitor them inside this room using this machine, the interrogator.
What's it interrogating?
The fiber
optic cable, that is, which Tim taped to the floor, and even the lightest tap is digitally recorded. And that's a big step forward.
So we're at Coyote Point in San Mateo, and this is a seismic station.
USGS seismologist Anne-Marie Bolte climbs toward more familiar gear.
And this is the more traditional way of measuring seismic waves?
Yes, this is a very high quality instrument.
This equipment gives us the familiar traces of ground motion, but there is a downside.
Right here, we have one recording at one location. It only tells us about the geology right here.
But hundreds of miles of fiber optic cable already buried under the Bay Area not only brings us the internet, it brings us thousands of virtual seismometers measuring the tiniest tickle of ground motion.
After we plugged this in our experiment, we noticed immediately vehicles driving along city streets. We saw a Caltrain, and then we saw our first earthquake.
We are coming on the air tonight with an earthquake that rattled the East Bay.
We recorded the Dublin earthquake, interrogating the full 80 kilometers.
That means instead of a few seismometers recording local shaking, Gene's machine recorded ground motion every 30 feet along 50 miles of fiber optic cable buried from San Francisco to Sunnyvale, the equivalent of 8,000 seismometers.
This is probably one of the best recorded earthquakes with such density and scale.
And more data could someday mean more insight. Take Northridge. Maybe $50 billion worth of damage in 30 seconds and a total surprise.
It's on a previously unknown fault.
Is it possible to uncover a hidden fault with this new system?
Yeah, it's possible to uncover a hidden fault because we're getting, again, information on a very fine scale.
Another tremendous upside of fiber, it's cheaper. Installing this single traditional seismometer costs about $100,000. For the same money, the interrogator virtually installs thousands.
Fiber's already in the ground. You don't have to do any digging.
And since the buried fiber might be much closer to the next epicenter,
For earthquake early warning, we want to catch an earthquake right as it's beginning.
And every millisecond counts.
Every millisecond counts, and then we can get you a warning a little bit quicker that waves are coming to your house.
the more modern technique is shaking up seismology.
It is. It's a really exciting concept, and it's going to open all kinds of doors for really creative, interesting studies for us to understand the Earth better.
Now let's head up to Marin and the rising tide. Here's Lauren Toms.
I grew up here, and it is just, it's magical. You truly do feel a world away.
Tucked away off Highway 1, the coastal community of Stinson Beach is made up of that magic. But even magic can't stop rising sea levels from threatening the community, as a new report warns that mitigation efforts will cost over $1 billion. It's a fate that local realtor and resident Ashley Bird says neighbors are accepting and planning for.
They are okay with the idea that it perhaps won't be here in 100 years or 150 years, but that they're confident that things are being done, and in the meantime that they can appreciate the true beauty of all this place.
She says the community is ready to put in the work to prevent major damage. Several homes on Stinson Beach have already raised or put in seawalls, but even so, high-powered storms that are becoming more common still flood the area each year, like this one from 2023. But the time to act is now, says Kathleen Kilgariff, a senior planner for Marin County.
We know that something is going to happen. We don't know exactly what, but we need to plan for
the most extreme cases that we can consider.
The stakes are high. A report released last month by Marin County found that the area is expected to see a 1.6-foot sea level rise by 2060, as shown in these renderings from the report, and more than 3 feet by 2085. Both scenarios worsen in a storm. Without intervention, the county estimates that property damage by this could cost $1.3 billion.
That calls for us to think about adapting private property, raising homes, raising roads, building dune systems on the beach to protect the beach habitats, and really thinking more holistically about how we can plan today and for the future of sea level rise impacts.
The county is considering prevention efforts, including raising roads and creating dunes and living seawalls. Even so, Ashley says she's confident the county and the community will do everything to protect this slice of California's treasured coast.
We're hopeful, and we know what this community is like, and we know how powerful the people here and the true love that these people have for this community. And so we are confident that these adaptation plans are going to work and that they are going to hold back some of these predictions as it's happened.
From the North Bay to the Central Coast now, Monterey specifically, and the winds of change. Here's Juliette Goodrich.
Off the coast of California, near Monterey, clusters of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay grapes ripen in the cooling fog, warming sun, and perfect soil. But at Scheid Family Vineyards, an extra element plays a vital role in their award-winning wines. It's something in the air.
Wind power. It's extremely windy here. The winds are very dependable. They can sometimes blow 24 hours a day.
For the past 8 years, harnessing that wind, a 400-foot-tall wind turbine. It generates 100% of the power needed to run Scheid's state-of-the-art winery and bottling operations.
So it's a lot of power, and the good thing is that our turbine is able to handle all that power.
It is immense.
Heidi Scheid is the executive vice president of Scheid Family Wines.
Sustainability has been one of our core values since our family founded this business in 1972.
Scheid produces 900,000 cases of wine a year, markets 10 global brands as well as private label brands, and farms 2,500 acres of vineyards.
We grow quite a few different varietals. We actually grow 36 different varietals.
Heidi's late father, Al, founded the company more than 50 years ago as a grape grower. He was green from the get-go.
It was just always important to him.
Cellar master George Zavala says the juice provided by the wind is critical for their juice.
We're filtering our Chardonnay right now, and this will be bottled in the next 2 days.
Skylights naturally light up the facility, and automatic light sensors turn on and off as needed. The wine tanks are equipped with insulating jackets. High-tech sensors deliver just enough water to each vine and not a drop more. Even the bottles use less glass.
We've been trying to lightweight our glass because glass is one of the biggest contributors in terms of environmental impact.
The clean energy generated by the wind turbine is the equivalent to taking almost 4,500 gas-guzzling cars off the road for an entire year. It also powers 234 local homes.
We're really only using half of what we need to power it. The rest of the wind power generated actually goes back onto the grid.
The winds of change bearing fruit.
First Alert meteorologist Zoe Mintz joins us now on this Saturday morning, and looking at all those beautiful shots of the vineyard there makes me want to go up to Napa for a beautiful winery day.
I mean, maybe a good idea this afternoon. It's going to be a gorgeous one out there, not too hot, which is really nice this time of year. So yes, you still have to put on the sunglasses, the sunscreen. You still have to wear comfortable, light, loose-fitting clothing. But hey, at least you can enjoy yourself. But early this morning, something that I do want to point out is a little bit of that leftover fireworks smoke that's lingering across parts of our North Bays and inland East Bay communities, a little bit down into the Santa Clara Valley as well. Those little areas you can see in red, those are the air quality monitors that do have a bit of the inversion layer, which means that the air from last night is trapped at the surface. But there is good news. The winds through this afternoon should dissipate most of the fog and most of the particulate matter that is at the surface right now. Although there is a lot of fog at the surface here in San Francisco, not necessarily that fireworks smoke or pollutant matter, but it's still a quiet start to our day for most of us. Temperatures in the upper 40s across the North Bay, mid 50s across the rest of the Bay Area. And again, it's our coastal communities that are dealing with a little bit more of that fog and that cloud coverage that luckily we didn't see too much of last night. It's just over the past couple of hours that we've seen the thickest of it, especially down across our South Bay communities, maybe a little bit over towards the Oakland Hills. But again, we are going to continue to see all of the cloud coverage from this morning continuing to peel back. A lot of sunshine this afternoon, even for those of you who live across our South Bay coastal communities. Inland areas, of course, there's going to be plenty of sunshine as well. So any outdoor activities today, you should be good to go. But there is going to be a bit more fog returning by tomorrow before a big heat up arrives. All things that'll break down coming up in just a bit. Max, back to you.
Thank you for that, Zoe. We look forward to it. Coming up after the break, a talent in trash hopes his efforts don't go to waste. Stay with us. Welcome back. We turn now to city streets and sidewalks. In a moment, Kara St. Cyr will introduce us to an internet sensation who's hanging up his hobby. But first, the problem of outstanding sidewalk debt. Here's Kevin Coe.
Ramson Jacob is a broker and developer who's noticed a common problem in San Jose.
A lot of homeowners, they are unaware that they have to take care of the sidewalk here in San Jose.
San Jose's municipal code states all homeowners are responsible for maintaining sidewalks adjacent to their properties. If repairs aren't taken care of, the city does it and bills the property owner. But a mid-June city council meeting showed roughly 99 San Jose property owners haven't paid about $3,000 each in repair fees, with the city issuing debt claims. San Jose offers a hardship program for financially eligible residents to help with costs, but we're only able to cover 124 out of 289 requests. This map shows both residents and companies facing liens against their properties for outstanding sidewalk repair debt, a reality Ramson believes needs more public awareness.
A lot of homeowners are unaware of this, and so I think if they just educate that more and possibly even involve that more with real estate transactions, people would be more aware about it and less surprised.
But for longtime city workers like Jeremiah,
you have some cracks, but nothing is lifted.
Sidewalk repairs and related debt claims have been the reality for years.
For the San Jose Municipal Code, it is the adjacent property owner's responsibility to repair and maintain the public right-of-way adjacent to their property. So, you know, how I feel about it is not really that important to me. I'm doing my job and trying to keep the public right-of-way safe for people who need to use it.
Clearing that safe path comes with some obvious holes.
So the first thing I see is you know, we identified that there's a missing utility cover lid. So this we reported to the water company.
But most issues are because of what's underneath the surface.
You have cracks, but nothing's lifted. So we're not marking that as a required repair. But you can see down the road here, down the sidewalk, looks like there was an old tree.
Old tree roots lifted this concrete up.
Anything lifted a half an inch or greater is a required repair.
This process led to nearly 5,200 sidewalk repairs this past year across San Jose. With just 4 inspectors, workers only go when someone files a complaint.
It just depends on where the requests come in.
For Ramson, that's part of the problem.
I think it would be more efficient if they have planned developments of these sidewalks where they go into neighborhoods specifically and give owners a good notice within, you know, 6 months, 12 months advance versus having, you know, sidewalks here that are done, sidewalks there that are not done. Doesn't make sense.
Now to Oakland and a Reddit retirement. Kara St. Cyr explains.
This trash pickup could be Andy Wong's last. He's a computer scientist turned social media sensation that cleans up litter in his spare time.
I've spent my own money on supplies, on gas, even spent my own money from time to time on, dumping fees.
But by his calculations, most of the 50 Oakland lots he's cleaned just end up dirty again, like this one on 67th and Foothill.
Not gonna lie, it's a little disappointing. I understand if it gets a little bit retrashed. I mean, that's just how Mother Nature works in a way. But to see it fully trashed up again, It's a bit sad.
That fact makes him question, why even bother? So he decided he won't.
I enjoy volunteering in Oakland, but, there's got to be a better way.
Wong announced on Reddit that he won't be cleaning any more lots in Oakland.
I can't help the community if the city also doesn't pull its weight.
Wong is open to dialogue with Oakland officials, telling them what he'd like to see done before he continues cleaning up streets. First, he says he'd like to see the city crack down on illegal dumping, which is what he sees as the root of the issue.
Typically, with trash like this, it looks residential.
The city does have a hotline for illegal dumping. The Department of Public Works has already responded to thousands of complaints this year. But Wong says the enforcement isn't strong enough. Now he says he won't touch a trash bag again if he doesn't see a change.
I have good feelings, especially after my conversation with District 2 and my upcoming conversations with District 1. I think, they've been willing to listen to me.
While Wong won't clean for a while, he's at least optimistic that maybe his work won't go to waste.
Coming up after the break, a new leash on life. We'll be back in 2 minutes, but first, Zoe.
Well, look at the traffic moving and grooving early this morning. Things are flowing smoothly because, luckily, visibility, not a big concern. Yes, there is a little bit of fog, but that fog will continue to lift throughout this afternoon. Ooh, here's a view of the Golden Gate. Again, fog not too big of an issue. There will be a lot of sunshine today. I'll let you know how your 4th of July weekend's going to look coming up after the break.
(7:21) on this Saturday morning. Welcome back. Let's chat coyote concerns and what to do about them. Here's Itai Hod.
3 years ago, Allison Lufkin was walking her dog Oliver when all of a sudden a coyote slipped out of the brush, and within an instant, Oliver was gone.
I tore back toward him screaming, and he turned around and looked at me with my dog in his mouth, and my dog's eyes met my eyes. And it was just so heartbreaking, and then he ran off with my dog.
She still visits with her 2 current dogs, leaving flowers in his memory. She doesn't blame the coyotes. Oliver wasn't on a leash, a choice she still regrets. Lufkin is part of a growing number of people calling for something, anything, to prevent this from happening again.
I'm very careful about where I walk now. I don't walk in the Presidio or at the beach very much.
Authorities caught the coyote that bit a 5-year-old girl.
In 2024, over 1,000 coyote sightings were reported in San Francisco, a 40% jump from the year before, although some of that might be due to better reporting. Coyotes were nearly wiped out by hunting and widespread poisoning. But in the early 2000s, they returned, from a few bold strays to about 100, staking their claim in a city still unsure about how to handle them. For 18 years, Janet Kessler has been tracking and photographing coyotes, saying the real problem isn't them, it's us.
They're just walking down the street.
Around here, she's simply known as the Coyote Lady.
I feel protective because they are the most persecuted animal in America. They have been shot on sight just for being coyotes.
Coyotes are this almost mythological creature in a way.
Doctors Tally Caspi and Christine Wilkinson have studied how coyotes and people cross paths, and not just here in San Francisco.
You can see them in Golden Gate Park, where we are right now, but they're in New York City, and they're in Chicago, and they're in Los Angeles.
And that raises the question, what, if anything, should be done?
Some people are going to look at this and they're going to say, why not just get rid of them?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of answers to that question. So first of all, even if we wanted to lethally remove every coyote in here and you were able to do it somehow, they would come right back.
Relocating them doesn't work either. It's illegal and they may not survive it. The good news, experts say, coyote numbers have likely stabilized. The Coyote Lady believes coexistence isn't just possible, it's practical. Don't feed them, keep dogs tethered, and remember serious incidents are still rare.
I'm hoping that enough people can come to a respectable understanding of them. And if they don't learn to like the coyotes, at least learn how to live with them.
That may be too late for those already victimized by coyotes. But in a city that roots for the underdog, perhaps even the wildest ones deserve a new leash on life.
First Alert meteorologist Zoe Minster joins us now on this Saturday morning. And Zoe, let's talk fire danger for a moment, because even though we are past the big fireworks shows, even drone shows, it's dry out there. There's a lot of risk.
Yeah, there is still a lot of risk, but there is good news.
Okay.
The dryness, the dry fuel that we have, it's not at a peak for this time of year.
Okay,
so that's, it's still dry out there. As you can see, it's still brown, but it's not the highest that it could be. And the winds are coming in from the onshore direction, not the offshore direction. So it is ushering in a little bit more moisture versus the drier air. So yes, there is fire danger still. It's the time of year, it's the dry season, but there isn't nearly as much of it because of this moisture that continues to stream in, bringing us a good amount of fog early this morning, especially here in San Francisco and closer to our coastal communities. That fog will continue to lift, though, throughout the late morning and into this afternoon. A lot of us are going to be continuing to see plenty of sunshine. So any outdoor plans that you have, dress in layers because it's a chilly start to our day, a couple of degrees below average, sitting in the upper 40s across our North Bay, mid 50s elsewhere. But again, it is going to be a nice one out there for any afternoon plans. The fog will continue to clear because we are seeing a good amount of it all along our coastal communities, streaming in through San Francisco and a little bit along the Oakland Hills as well. But again, clouds throughout this afternoon, not going to last much longer than the late morning hours, and then you're going to continue to see maybe just a little bit of it sticking around parts of Ocean Beach, Pacifica, but you should still see a good amount of sunshine today. Any outdoor plans, if you do plan on heading along the coast, it's going to be chillier out there, but you should be seeing more sunshine. Temperatures this afternoon will be a couple of degrees below average, but they're going to be very similar to what we saw yesterday, if not a degree or two above, sitting in the mid 80s across our inland East Bay communities, 70s for areas around the Bay, and near 60 degrees closer to our coastal communities. Like I said, you are going to want to keep that jacket, Andy, if you do plan on heading to the coast. But the clouds overnight tonight, like I was talking about, the moisture, it's going to continue to stream in, allowing for a lot more fog waking up early tomorrow morning all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. And this is our view tomorrow afternoon, where we are expecting the fog and the cloud coverage to stick around a lot stronger and be a lot thicker and keep those temperatures a lot cooler tomorrow afternoon. Look at the coastal communities. These areas in green signify those cooler temperatures, and we are expecting the coast to be only sitting in the upper 50s once again tomorrow, while the inland East Bay communities continue to warm back to normal, sitting in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. So it's all relative. Take a drive and you'll be seeing more summer-like temperatures or slightly cooler conditions with more cloud coverage tomorrow. It all kind of depends on what you like for this time of year, but this is why we live in California, right? Because we get to choose what we want to enjoy. Temperatures, though, this afternoon, like I said, a couple of degrees below average. And if you want to head out tomorrow, there is going to be a little bit more cloud coverage, especially around the Bay and closer to our coastal communities, keeping those temperatures maybe a degree or two cooler, while our inland communities are going to be a degree or two warmer tomorrow. Those winds will stay below 25 miles an hour all afternoon, though, today and into tomorrow. So again, winds really nothing to worry about. But if you do plan on spending the day outdoors today or tomorrow, you have to remember that is the summertime. UV index is up to 9. It's very high. It only takes about 20 to 30 minutes to burn. So wear the hat, the sunglasses, the sunscreen, and find shade if you do burn easily, because again, we are going to be seeing a lot of that sunshine today as a low pressure system sits offshore, ushers in a little bit more cloud coverage into tomorrow, but again, keeps those temperatures very mild for this time of year. It's not until the later parts of this upcoming week that we are expecting a little area of high pressure to arrive. High pressure, as many of you know, brings warmer temperatures, and Thursday and Friday, those are the days to look out for when it comes to those upper 90s returning to the forecast to potentially triple digits if that heat wave gets a little bit stronger. Not technically a heat wave, though, because it's only for one day, that little bit of a warm up. Again, on Thursday, cooling right back down by Friday. Either way, though, there is a little bit of something for everybody over the next 7 days. It kind of just depends on what you like. Inland areas, enjoy the warmer weather, or head on over to the coast if you like the little bit of a cool down. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Zoe. Still ahead, a message more young adults need to hear. That's next. Stay with us.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Welcome back. We turn now to breakthroughs. In a moment, Kenny Choi will tell us more about the push to raise awareness for hearing loss in young adults. But first, to Stanford and a groundbreaking new way to treat stroke patients. Here's Mary Lee.
Researchers are developing revolutionary technology to treat strokes, heart attacks, and clot-related diseases. And they're using this. Now, this is the model of the milli-spinner. It's about 70 times larger in size than what they're actually using. And researchers are going to show us exactly how it works. This is Renee Zhao's lab. She's an assistant professor of mechanical engineering at Stanford University. Her lab is leading breakthrough technology in treating stroke patients.
This new technology is extremely exciting because we basically developed the first mechanism to shrink the size of the clot. So basically, we can shrink the clot.
Currently, the only way to treat stroke patients is to either inject a chemical to dissolve the clot, but that can only work in the first few hours. After that, they can either remove the clot, sucking it out like a vacuum machine, or through stent removal to pull out the clot. The problem with both cases is that the clot can easily break apart, fragmenting into smaller pieces that could move into extremely difficult places to reach. Zhao said their invention, the milli-spinner, actually changes the microstructure of the clot.
Basically, we saw the clot started to turn white. Because the clot is red, right? It has all the red blood cells in the fiber network. But it turned white. That's bizarre. That's basically, we never seen anything like that.
The incredible thing is, Zhao and her researchers were completely surprised by their own invention, never expecting to see the clot transform before their eyes.
And now what the spinner is doing is that when it rotates, it generates a shear force. It's like my palm applying a shear force like that. So it densifies the fiber network. Eventually, what we see is like a highly densified fibrin core.
So the first step is I'm going to load our milli-spinner into the catheter. So here is what our milli-spinner looks like. It's 1.2 millimeter in diameter. It's very small.
Researchers gave us a demo of the milli-spinner in action, showing us exactly how it works and how quickly it can remove a clot.
Now I still feel this mechanism, it was not something that someone can easily come up with a clot treatment strategy by extracting the fibrin, right? So nobody would think of that. So the key point of the way we do research is always feel free and open to the unexpected findings, and it will always give us something that is beyond imagination.
The spirit of Renee Zhao's lab is one of curiosity, creativity, and exploration. She said true innovation comes when you embrace the unexpected. It's this passion that drives the advancements of her lab's impressive scientific discoveries.
Sometimes it spins this way.
To the sounds of silence now, and a resurgence for hearing aids. Here's Kenny Choi.
Being in a noisy city soundscape or even a quiet environment, Dr. Rebecca Chang began to notice in her mid-40s that it was getting harder to hear.
You just don't know what people are saying, like maybe in a noisy time over a dinner or when you're out with your friends for lunch.
Chang is a family medicine doctor now in her 50s. These days, she's hearing conversations more clearly with the assistance of hearing aids.
It's called a Phonak Audio.
Audiologists say younger adults are increasingly adopting hearing aids.
It's pretty small.
Motivated by tech advances and rising awareness of early hearing damage.
This right here is called the audiogram.
Dr. Sarah Ritwiger is a supervising audiologist at Kaiser Permanente.
The technology has just gotten so much better than what it used to be. The criteria in which people needing a hearing aid or wanting a hearing aid has also opened up too.
Hearing aid fittings from 2017 to 2021 show people aged 22 to 54 increased by about 14%, according to manufacturer Phonak. Audiologists say over-the-counter devices, including certain AirPods, following FDA approval in late 2022, are leading to even more younger adults seeking care.
As people are recognizing these as options, I think actually more people are becoming more motivated to seeking more professional or a higher level of care.
Chang says the stigma of hearing aids associated with older people that she was first concerned about has waned.
mid-40s, it was a little vanity. I really didn't want to wear hearing aids that people could see.
Johns Hopkins researchers say nearly 27 million Americans age 50 and older have hearing loss, but only 1 in 7 uses a hearing aid.
I have been wearing these for several years, hearing aids for several years. I certainly feel that, well, hopefully I can help change that stigma a little bit. I really embrace it.
It's made life better for Rebecca. She's hoping others will hear her message.
Great reminders there. Thank you for that story, Kenny Choi. All right, First Alert meteorologist Zoe Mintz joins us live now. And Zoe, a beautiful night for fireworks, but we've got a bit of a foggy start to the day. It held off.
It did. It held off. Perfect timing. You know, we don't really care about the fog too much early this morning. It's not creating any sort of traffic issues, which is the best part as well. It's blocking the sunrise, but honestly, the view from above the clouds is quite beautiful this time of year. So kind of depends on what you like. But if you're laying in bed right now and you are under the clouds, you can stay in bed an extra couple minutes. The clouds are going to be taking the next couple of hours to finally begin to lift, begin to clear, and it is going to be a really nice afternoon. Again, you see a lot of fog out there right now, but that fog is going to quickly begin to peel back into our coastal communities, and by the afternoon, even the South Bay coast is going to be seeing quite a lot of sunshine. So everybody who has any outdoor plans today, you should be good to go. I want to show you, though, if you are planning on traveling, give you a little bit of a rundown of what you can expect, because early this morning, you definitely have to dress in layers. Those temperatures are a bit cooler than normal for this time of year, in the upper 40s across our North Bay and the 50s elsewhere. But again, it is going to be really nice for any outdoor plans, sitting in the 80s across our inland areas, 70s around the Bay, closer to the 60s along our coastal communities. But maybe you aren't heading onto the coast or anywhere in the Bay. Maybe you're heading up to LA. It's going to be 83 degrees. Monterey is going to be around 59 degrees along with Eureka. But either way, any plans that you have if it comes to driving across the state, sunny skies, calm and clear conditions, you should be good to go today and into tomorrow. Although tomorrow there might be a little bit more fog, especially along our coastal communities. So keep that in mind. Tomorrow is expected to be a little bit foggier compared to today. So let's take a look at the fog that we are expecting over the next several hours, because late tonight it is going to be filling in our valley communities. We are expecting a much foggier start to the day tomorrow if you live inland. And by tomorrow afternoon, look at the coast. It's going to be filled with a lot more of that marine layer that is going to hold on tight. But what does that mean for our temperatures? I'll let you know coming up in just a bit, because there is a big heat up that's on the way. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Zoe. Coming up after the break, a Buddhist in the Bureau. We'll explain. Stay with us. Welcome back. This block, we want to highlight two iconic characters. In a moment, Suji Nam will introduce us to the first ever Buddhist chaplain in the San Francisco Sheriff's Office. But first, doing hair with some flair. Here's Sharon Chin with this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award winner.
Okay, so
V. Vargas is in the business of helping people look and feel good at her Be Here salon. So she thought, why not use her skills to help others live their best life?
I had this idea of what if I could do that while at the same time teach folks how to create amazing magic behind the chair. So do you want it to be just kind of soft around your face?
So in 2022, she launched the nonprofit Be Infinite. The 2-year cosmetology apprenticeship program gives people a fresh outlook, like she had after her own troubles as a teenager.
I ran away from home, and although I didn't experience a lot of the things that folks have experienced, because thankfully I had my family, and I think like my mom's prayer always.
So she created Be Infinite to give others new hope, whether they were formerly incarcerated, in foster care, or surviving some other brush with trauma.
It always takes just one person to really see the light in someone. So it's important for me to be able to be that light for someone.
V partners with a cosmetology school so apprentices can get licensed in 3 months. She also gives lessons in financial literacy, offers mental health resources, and trains apprentices to create a safe space that's sensitive to traumatic experiences of the guests they serve.
We have people that sit in our chairs that we're the first ones that they tell they might have just got diagnosed with cancer, or one of their family members passed away. Use the cold water.
One of V's apprentices, Kayla Gregory, already has her cosmetology license but needs more hands-on practice. Kayla had been earning more than $9 an hour doing odd jobs at her aunt's foster care home. But now V is giving her tools to wash away fears about her future.
How am I going to afford to live? How am I going to afford to maybe purchase a home on my own? How am I going to afford to have children? V is giving me the opportunity to be able to do something like that for myself.
So instead of all of this going down the drain,
and going green is part of the program. V packs separate bags of hair clippings, foil, and chemicals and sends them to a waste management company for recycling and proper disposal. As a certified sustainable salon, more than 95% of its waste gets diverted from landfills.
I always remind guests when they come in that they're not just like getting a haircut, but they're also impacting the world.
So for empowering underserved people with infinite possibilities in the salon industry, this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award goes to V. Vargas.
Now to San Francisco and a new viewpoint for the San Francisco Sheriff's Office. Here's Suji Nam.
I, Hanley Chan,
do solemnly swear.
It's a new chapter for Hanley Chan, the newest chaplain of the San Francisco Sheriff's Office.
Congratulations.
And he is making history as the agency's first Buddhist chaplain.
Buddhism is not a religion, it's a teaching. Right? The teaching of spirituality, the teaching of mindfulness.
Chan was born and raised in San Francisco and spent many years serving the city he loves. More than 7 years as a police officer and 3 years as a federal police officer.
I was a veteran, U.S. Navy and Army National Guard.
Chan says during his time in law enforcement, his spirituality helped guide him to serve his mission. And he hopes he can guide deputies to find peace in their demanding everyday jobs protecting the community.
They have very stressful jobs. And basically, of course, there's a recent high amount of suicide from law enforcement. And a lot of these deputies, a lot of these police officers, they need somebody to be there for them.
There are about 6 chaplains in the San Francisco Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Paul Miyamoto says he is proud of his agency prioritizing what may be often overlooked.
Law enforcement culture, we don't traditionally go to seek help for mental health or behavioral health issues for ourselves. And there's been a shift in our profession over the years where we actually try our best to provide that support, not just through chaplaincy programs, not just through our peer support unit, which also provides that kind of support, but also through programs we have for wellness.
And Chan is one vessel for wellness in the sheriff's office.
Of course, yoga day keeps the doctor away.
Sheriff Miyamoto adds that Chan's previous law enforcement service will help his deputies connect with him on a deeper level.
Having that experience just adds to the perspective and the ability to connect with all of us.
I'm all about giving back my time, serving the community, serving in the sheriff's department.
Being that guiding light to others from different backgrounds, different religions, different stories, but the same mission to serve.
Well, happy Saturday, everybody. It is July 5th. We have made it to Independence Day weekend, and it is beautiful out there. It's sunny in downtown San Jose, where you can see a gorgeous view with the sunrise illuminating the town, and now we can see our beautiful view from on top of Black Mountain, the Santa Clara Valley. It's also looking gorgeous out there. I'll let you know how long these sunny skies and seasonable temperatures will stick around because there is a heat up on the way. I'll break it down coming up after the break.
Welcome back. First Alert meteorologist Zoe Mintz is here live on this Saturday morning. And Zoe, just microclimates in full effect today.
Yes, and I mean with the fireworks last night, a little bit of that particulate matter from the fireworks actually gets trapped in the inversion layers, and it's still sticking around early this morning. It's not terrible. It's not the worst. There's actually some really bad air quality actually in Indianapolis because they're looking at a huge inversion layer for them. Some of the worst air quality in the world in Indianapolis, Indiana this morning. Well, for us, there's a little bit of fog in San Francisco, and there's a little bit more of that haze and a bit more of that bad air quality. the farther inland you go, it's kind of getting trapped against the Oakland Hills and down into the Santa Clara Valley. But temperatures right now, heading out early this morning, sitting in the upper 50s across our upper 40s across our North Bay, mid 50s elsewhere. But again, the Santa Clara Valley, you can actually see that inversion layer and see that layer of haze that is kind of just sitting stagnant up ahead. It is not going to last much longer than the early morning hours as the winds allow it to begin to dissipate out into the atmosphere. But the air quality, again, hopefully if it loads within the next couple of seconds, it is not the greatest. We are looking at that unhealthy to potentially even very unhealthy for parts. There we go. So those areas in red and even a little area in purple over near the Oakland Hills, that is where we're looking at a little bit of that particulate matter, that firework smoke that's stuck in those inversion layers. But like I said, the wind gusts this afternoon are going to pick up and allow those temperatures to not necessarily warm too much, but it will allow the smoke to fizzle out, to begin to lift into the atmosphere. So the air quality should get better as the day goes on. Keep that in mind. Temperatures this afternoon are going to be a degree or two warmer than what they were yesterday. We'll be sitting in the mid to lower 80s across our inland areas. That is definitely below average for this time of year by about 5 degrees. Low 80s down into the Santa Clara Valley to upper 70s. Areas around the Bay are going to be in the 70s as well. And then the closer to the coast you get, the closer to the 60s that you're going to be. There's going to be a lot more sunshine today compared to tomorrow, though. So if you're planning on heading to the coast, today is definitely going to be the better day to do so if you do want to enjoy more of that sunshine, because clouds throughout this afternoon are going to continue to peel back. The only place that likely is going to be seeing it is maybe over near Ocean Beach, Pacifica, a little bit more of that cloud coverage sticking around. But overall, it is going to be a really, really nice day out there. For any outdoor activities that you plan on doing, you honestly should be good to go. Overnight tonight, though, we are expecting this cloud coverage to return and in full force, might I say. So it's going to be a lot foggier waking up early tomorrow morning across those inland communities and down into the Santa Clara Valley. That fog will peel back for our inland areas tomorrow afternoon, but look at the coast. We're expecting most of the cloud coverage to stick around our coastal communities. That includes the western half of San Francisco, likely going to be blanketed by that fog, by that marine layer. The Where's the Sky July will be back in full force by tomorrow. So keep that in mind. Tomorrow is going to be a lot cloudier closer to the coast than today, and keeping those temperatures cooler. Those areas in green corresponding to those slightly cooler temperatures. Again, upper 50s to low 60s tomorrow, while the inland areas are going to be a couple of degrees warmer tomorrow afternoon, sitting in the upper 80s. So it really depends on where you are. A couple of degrees warmer tomorrow inland, a couple of degrees cooler tomorrow along the coast, all because of the clouds, or lack thereof, I should say. Either way, it is going to be a really nice next several days. A little bit of something for everybody. As a bit of a roller coaster heads our way, we'll continue to warm up and up and up all the way through Thursday. Thursday is going to be the peak of the heat this upcoming week, with mid to upper 90s returning to our inland areas. About 10 degrees above average, not record breaking for this time of year. But hey, there's changes on the way, and that means if you do live along the coast, there will be more sunshine. There will be warmer weather. Again, Thursday is the day to look forward to before that cloud coverage, the marine layer, and a lot more thick fog returns. That's going to stick around through early next week closer to the coast. Back to you.
Thank you, Zoe. After the break, a starter jacket and the start of something big. Stay with us. Finally, we close this morning in style. Here's Len Ramirez on a vintage VIP.
Welcome to the showroom.
He calls it a showroom, but Bong Sigwa doesn't show this to just anyone.
This is more of our higher end vintage for our special VIP clients.
This collection of thousands of pieces of rare vintage clothing is only seen by a select group of clients who are often in the public eye and don't blink at some of the price tags.
This one's kind of cool. Rare shirt, Radiohead band shirt. Pretty rare, and we have this kind of expensive, asking $2,000.
It's the high end of a growing vintage wear industry.
You'd be surprised who's into this stuff.
His love of style and clothing began at an early age and was ironically spurred on by a traumatic event in his family. His brother, seen here wearing a Notre Dame starter jacket, was robbed of his jacket on the street. Bong always wanted one too, but his mom said no.
She told me that your brother had one stolen from him, so we're not going to get you that because it's $150 or whatever the cost was back then.
So when he got older, he began shopping in flea markets and thrift stores, hoping to find a jacket he could buy with his own money. His search not only led him to a jacket, but also paved the way for his future.
It was kind of like maybe the start of it, because it led to being a hobby on the side.
The hobby became a successful eBay vintage store. Then the pandemic hit, and when rents plummeted, he and his partners opened a brick and mortar Big Time Vintage on Valencia Street.
So these two, right?
This store is open to the public, and it's often filled with vintage clothing fans like Jack Yuan.
Every time you walk in, you don't know what you're gonna find compared to like regular stores where they come in seasons. Here is like, there's always something new.
But Bong was inspired to grow even bigger. He noticed that athletes he followed on social media were leaning into vintage looks, so he DM'd them, inviting them to shop with him.
So if a new sports team was in town and they were playing a local, the Giants or the Warriors, I would just DM the whole team. And sometimes I get one person to reply.
His client list now reads like a who's who of athletes and entertainers.
Little Yachty, we've gotten Drake.
What began as a childhood wish is now a booming business. And about that starter jacket, he now has them by the dozen. And for him, it was the start of something big.
Pretty cool that Len got to be one of the VIPs to check out.
I know, I am jealous. I love going vintage shopping, thrift shopping, anything that secondhand. No, not only is it cute, it's sustainable. It's so much better for the ecosystem and the environment.
Another benefit to doing it that way.
Exactly.
All right, thanks for watching KPIX News this morning. Don't forget the news continues all day on CBS News Bay Area. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early at 6 o'clock. Have a great Saturday.